welcome to another Stamp with Amy K YouTube Live. And today I'm going to show you how I made a card with a fun new Trucking Along stamp set bundle, which is one of the new Stampin' Up! Online exclusive items. If you have not seen these, go out to the online store, go take a peek. You can find them under, if you go into the online store on the left-hand side, there will be a little menu over there. Click on View All Items and then scroll down, and one of the items underneath there will be Online Exclusives, and you can find all the fun little things in the online store that are available as online exclusives. Now, before you yell at me, yes, in fact, this bundle is turned off for ordering right now. However, the stamp set is due back in stock next week. It's saying around the 17th, so I expect sometime next week we should have the bundle back in stock again. So thank goodness it'll be back and back fairly soon. So if you missed getting it on the first round, which was a little crazy since it went on back order like almost immediately, you can definitely get it hopefully next week. So you should be good to go on that. So I see Pam is here, and Michelle and Carol and Connie and Wendy, and I'm not sure who, I see Vaughn is here, and Carol is here as well, second Carol. So thanks so much. I'm glad y'all are joining me today. So the little bundle, like I said, it's just really cute. It's got some fun images to put in it, some good sentiments to put on with it. So it's just a lot of fun, and definitely will be worth the wait. Especially since it's supposed to be restocked next week, so yay about that. Yes, Melanie, I'm hoping you can get it ordered as well next week. And Mary Ruth is here, and Kathy. So yes, the truck, it's really cute. So, all right, so this is the stamp set. Again, it's called Trucking Along. There's a Sending Sunny Thoughts, which is the one we're using today. And then there's a Christmas Sentiment, special delivery. This one says every day is a fresh start. And then there's this little Farm Fresh that actually will fit on the truck door if you want to stamp it there. So it's really cute. And love that we've got lots of different images that will go in the back as well. These are two-step stamping images. So there's a flower that fits inside this flower, which is the one we're going to be using today. There's some greenery that fits inside these little images, so love that too. And then we've got the gifts, and then again, double stamp image here that you can use. And then there's a palm tree that you can use, and then the Christmas tree, and then the little cloud. So it's a great, great bundle. So, hey, Ramona, and I see Shella is here as well. Shella, I'm not sure how you say your name. I apologize if I totally said it wrong. So, all right. So that's the stamp set. And again, punch, you can use the punch without the stamp set, most definitely. So you can punch the truck, and then here's a little window, there are tires, and then here are the little fenders for the truck. So it's a great punch even without the stamp set. So if you only end up getting the punch, it's definitely a cute little punch too. So, but it is nice that it coordinates with the truck image here in the stamp set. So need to draw pumpkins in the truck. I know the pumpkins are the one thing that is missing a little bit, but sunflowers, I figure we can kind of do those for fall. So that'll be a good one to use now and later. So, all right, so that is the stamp set. A couple other things that I used on this card is I used the Radiating Stitches dies. And again, these are also in the online exclusives from Stampin' Up! And they're available. Again, they were also turned off for ordering for a little while because they sold out. I used the second largest of the rectangle dies to die cut two pieces on here, the designer series paper as well as the little background around the truck. So it's a cute little die set as well. It's a standalone one. There isn't anything that specifically coordinates with it in the Stampin' Up! Lineup, but it works with lots and lots of different things. So it's a great, great die set. And then one other thing that I used on here is I did use, again, this die from the Wonderful Thoughts dies. Fits this Sending Sunny Thoughts sentiment perfectly. So I used it again on my little card today. So I see Laura is here, and Mary Kay as well. Thanks so much for joining. A couple things before we get going on the card. Online exclusives, I already talked a little bit about those. There are some new ones. A couple of them are currently unavailable, but they will be restocked. And it looks like the very latest end of July, a couple of them are coming in, but most stuff should be restocked by next week. So I have my fingers crossed that everything will be back hopefully soon, and you can order from all the new online exclusives. That is goodness. Forgot to throw one of those away. And then Stampin' Up! Has got bonus days going on. So they actually are going to be giving you a $5 coupon for any $50 order or greater. You start earning the $5 coupons at $50, and then for every $50 increment that you order in an order, does that make sense? Order in an order. You're also going to get an additional $5 coupon. There's no limit on the number of these that you can get. But yeah, it's a great time. So you earn the coupons during the month of July, between July 6th and 31st. And then you are able to redeem them at any point during August when you place an order. So it is a cool little thing. It's sort of like a buy now, save a little bit later. So all right, let me know if you have questions on any of that. All the details for this card, as well as the details for the bonus days and online exclusives, will be posted on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com, and they're actually out there today. If you want to go over and take a look, I'll link up directly to this blog post for this card tomorrow, once it goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time on Saturday. So then you'll be able to go over and check out all the details about this card. All right, I did a little die cutting ahead of time. This is Azure Afternoon for the card base, and it is cut to 5.5 by 8.5 and scored right in the middle at 4.25. And then I've got a piece of the Azure Afternoon Designer Series paper from the Subtles. This is definitely not Subtles. From the Brights 6x6 Designer Series paper pack. That's one of those color family packs that it's the same designs. There are 4 different designs, I think. Same designs on each of the papers. It's just done in each one of the Stampin' Up! Family color families. Family of colors, whatever you want to say. So you're it's nice because you have a little Designer Series paper in every single color that Stampin' Up! Has. All right, so I cut this with the second from the largest of the Radiating Stitches dies. So I used that one to die cut this Designer Series paper. And we're just going to take that and adhere it to the card base. And I'm going to try to get it so that it's even on the 3 sides. And is it going to be perfect? Nope. But try to get it as close to even as I can get it. All right. Just adhering that down with a little Stampin' seal. Hey, Karen, and Nancy's here. Niecy is here. I'm sorry. I said Nancy, and I'm like, that's not Nancy. Not even close. So, all right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp the truck image, and this is just a little strip of basic white cardstock. You can see I was playing with some things on here that I didn't actually end up using. So I've got the lined truck image in Tuxedo Black Memento ink, and I'm just going to ink up the little truck in Tuxedo Black to start with. If you don't want to use Tuxedo Black and would prefer to use a different darker color, you certainly can do that, whatever color you want to use. But since I was using some blends on this, I also wanted to make sure that I could color it well with the blend, so I used Tuxedo. And I'm going to close that up before I stick my fingers in it, which I probably already have done. And then I've got my Azure Afternoon ink pad. My Azure Afternoon is very inky right now, so I am going to try a little trick here and see if I can get it to stamp. It's a little, sometimes I was playing with this earlier and it was getting a little bubbly on the image, so I'm going to take this way old credit card that expired back in 2016. Apparently I've had it for a little while. And I'm just going to take it over the top of my ink pad and just kind of use it to smush some of the ink down into the ink pad a little bit. So hopefully that'll give me a little better image rather than having all the ink sitting right up at the top of the ink pad. Hopefully that squishes it down a little so I'll get not quite so much ink on my image. All right, so I'm just inking it up in Azure Afternoon. This is fairly easy, she says before she stamps, to line up. I just line up the little fenders and then stamp it. And I'm going to give it a good smush here. All right, and it's looking a little modelly, a little bubbly. So I'm going to try, everybody hold your breath, we're going to try to ink it a second time and stamp it right over the top of it. And again, just lining up, trying to line up the fenders. That's what I started with, and then the little white pieces. And we'll see if I can get it done. There we go. Turned out reasonably well, and I stamped one on top of the other. This ink I did find does dry an awful lot lighter than it starts out, because this image was actually stamped twice as well. So you can see that when I stamped it and it's still wet, it's quite a bit darker than the dry image is. So we're just going to give it a second to do its thing and dry a little bit. While it is drying, I'm going to grab some Stampin' Blends markers. I'm going to start, this should be Smoky Slate, light and dark, unless I've got gray granite mixed in. Okay, yep, got light and dark Smoky Slate. And I'm going to color the wheels, tires on here. I guess not the wheels, the tire part. There is a stamp that will stamp the tires and the little centers of the tires, but because I wanted them different colors, I just picked Stampin' Blends to use instead, because this is pretty quick and easy to color. So I didn't, if it was a lot to color in, then maybe I would worry more about it, but it's not really a lot to color in. It's pretty easy with this. So can't seem to restamp. I don't know. This stamp, for whatever reason, I restamped it a couple times when I was, making the card initially, and I got it to work pretty well. So it's a little easier on this one just because it's got the kind of white spaces in here that it adds in. And then also, like I said, I just lined up the little fenders at the bottom, and that seemed to make it easier for me to line it up and stamp it a second time. So, all right, and then I'm going to grab, I'm just going to have my light Pool Party Stampin' Blends marker here, and we're going to color in the window. And it's very light, so I think I need to get a new one of those that's starting to get a little bit dried out. Then I've got Azure Afternoon, and I just did the light Stampin' Blends marker with that one, and we're just going to color in the center of the little hubcaps with that. And like I said, there is a stamp, an image in the stamp set. Let me grab it. This one that you actually can stamp the wheels and the little centers in, but you kind of have to stamp them in the same color. And I didn't want to do that, so that's why I went with it this way. And then I've got light gray granite that I'm going to use to color in the little hubcaps. And it looks almost brown, which I don't know. I was surprised when with the light gray granite right up next to the blue and the smoky slate. To me, it almost looked like a light tan. But it is, in fact, gray granite. All right. And colored in the little bumpers on both sides with that as well. And I think that's all the coloring I need to do. All right, I'm going to grab, here's my punch. So, hey, Mary, glad you're here. So, going to grab my little punch. Again, this is the Trucking Along Builder punch. And we're just going to punch out the truck. And pieces are flying and sticking to me all over. All right, and I'm going to set that aside. Now, I will tell you honestly, when I first made this card, I sat there and I looked at my truck punch and I knew I wanted to stamp some flowers in the back end of it. And I sat there and I put this down and then I'd move it and I was trying to mark it with a pencil. And then I was stamping and then moving the truck around, trying to get things stamped in the right spot. And then I realized, hello, Amy. Sometimes I have to talk to myself a little. Hello, Amy. Why don't we just stamp the truck image on the paper to start with? And then you'll know exactly where to stamp everything around it. I don't know why that didn't occur to me until after I'd put the card all together and I was all stressed out about, oh my gosh, that was really, it was a lot of kind of fiddly and whatever, and people are going to think this is really difficult to stamp with when, yeah, it's not. And I just wasn't thinking very clearly, obviously, when I put the card together initially. So I don't need to stamp a color and worry about the actual truck image. I just need it stamped there so I know where to put everything else around it when I'm creating my little scene. And it was kind of a scene as I was trying to get this done before. All right, so now I'm going to line up my flowers and try to get those stamped in the back end of the truck. Yeah, and like I said, I couldn't even believe that I sat there for that long looking at this, trying to figure out how in the world to do it. Like, hello, just stamp the truck, silly girl. So, all right, Lemon Lolly ink. I've got for my flower image here. Whoop, almost stamped that all kinds of crazy. There we go. So we're stamping, to me, I'm making those be sunflowers. I don't know whether they are or not. When we redeem the bonus coupons in August, we'll be allowed to use those coupons on one big order or several orders. You can use them however you would like, Laura. So you can use them on 10 different orders if you have 10 different coupons, or you can use them all on one order if you have, you can use 10 of them on one order if you have enough items that you want to buy and have 10 coupon codes. So, all right, I've got pecan pie for the center of the flowers, and I'm just going to color in the two little flower centers that you can see. But let me know if you have other questions about that. So, yep, they're really easy to use. Just get to pick out whatever you want for Stampin' Up! Products and order them. So, all right, coloring the stems and the leaves in here with light granny apple green Stampin' Blends marker. All right. Then after that, we're going to stamp some little clouds around it. And I'm going to wipe my nose because, of course, that's dripping. All right, got Pool Party ink. And there's a line cloud and a fill-in cloud. So I'm stamping the line cloud first. And I'm just going to stamp it 3 times kind of around the truck. Just once, and then twice. And then one more time kind of here towards the back end. And then I'm going to grab the fill-in image and going to ink that with Pool Party. And then go over to my lined image. Same thing. Oop, I got my cap to my Stampin' Seal that's sticking on my arm. All right, there we go. So we got those all done. And then the final piece for this little scene that I've created here is I need to put some ground underneath the truck. So I've got gray granite ink. And this is a little line image that is from the stamp set. And just going to ink that up, stamp it on scrap paper, and then stamp it kind of here under the truck. And then I'm going to stamp it a second time so that I make sure that I have enough ground under the truck. There we go. And I think we'll call that good for the Stampin'. So, you like the blue too? Yep. So you're a discount shopper. Everybody is, aren't they? Laura, I'm telling you. So, yep. Always, or a discount demonstrator. Yep. So we all are. That's what most of us want. So, all right. So we've got our little scene stamped here, and I'm going to grab my second from the largest of my radiating stitches dies. I was going to call them stylish, and I knew those were not the right ones. And I'm just going to cut around the little stamped image here with my die cutting machine. So I'll be off screen for 1 second. All right, and we'll put that back. And then we're going to start assembling the card front. Well, a little bit more assembly on the card front. I'm going to grab my Stampin' Dimensionals to adhere my little die cut image and not stick them to my fingers. It would be better. I do cut my Stampin' Dimensionals in half. If you do not like that and want to use whole ones, you are welcome to use whole ones. If you prefer the minis to the half Stampin' Dimensionals, you can certainly use those as well. But the little half ones I find work perfectly for most things that I want to do, so that's why I do that. So, unsure about ordering the bundle, Karen. Yes, don't even question, just go get this one. It's a good one. You won't be sad. All right, there we go. We're going to stick that and try to get it centered and probably maybe a little bit above center, if that makes sense. Side to side, I want to try to keep it centered and a little bit higher because I'm going to be sticking a sentiment underneath it. Just going to take that and stick it down. Now I need to find my truck that I stamped and punched out. And as you can see, the color has way lightened on it from when I first stamped it. So it now matches the cardstock much better than it did when I first stamped it, because when I first stamped it, I kind of had that same reaction of like, whoa, that's too dark. And then it lightened up. And then I'm like, oh, okay, now it's right. So using a little Stampin' Seal to adhere this on. And again, I'm just going to place the truck, the little punch truck, right over the top of my little, maybe stamped truck on here. There we go. I was trying to get it on there straight. And just going to stick it down with the Stampin' Seal. So that is my little tip when you are using this truck, is don't do what I did the first time and stress out because I was moving the truck up and down and trying to get it stamped in all the right places. Just stamp the truck on your paper underneath and then stamp everything else around it, and then you don't have to worry about it. So don't do what I did. Do what I did this time around. It's much easier, trust me. So, all right, so let me make sure that is stuck down well. Then I'm going to grab a little piece of Lemon Lolly cardstock, which is my new favoriteest yellow color ever. And I'm going to stamp a sentiment in Versamark ink, and we're going to heat emboss it. So I am going to use, because I have found that black embossing powder, for whatever reason, seems to stick to everything when I use it, whether I want it to or not. So I have found that the Embossing Buddy definitely is a good tool to have. You can get it in the Embossing Tools Editions, I think is what it's called. But there's a little kit that's got some embossing tools in it, and it has an Embossing Buddy, so you'll definitely want to get that. So, all right, got a sentiment. I'm going to ink up in Versamark ink. And gonna stamp it here on, again, the Lemon Lolly cardstock, and I don't need to worry about stamping it straight or in any particular place. Just need to make sure it's on the paper, that's all. Come on, Amy. Sometimes my fingers work, sometimes they don't. And then I'm gonna grab the black embossing powder. Lemon Lolly is just, it's such a happy little color, and yes, it's one of my favorites. And I knew from the minute that I saw it, I'm like, yeah, that and Bubble Bath are gonna be my two favorite colors, and they pretty much are. So, all right, so I'm sprinkling this a second time with the black embossing powder, trying to make sure that I don't get any flecks stuck anywhere that I don't want them. See, there's one little one up here. Try and get that one off, all right. And then we are gonna close this up, put the lid back on it before I turn on the heat tool so I don't accidentally spray that embossing powder everywhere, because I've done that before and it's a huge mess. All right, so the Stampin' Up! Heat tool has two settings on it. There's a level 1 setting for drying, so if you're doing something like watercoloring or using an ink that takes a little bit longer to dry, you can use the level 1 setting to kind of speed things up a little. And then there's a level 2 setting that is for heat embossing. It does take a second for it to heat up to be warm enough to heat emboss, so that's why I'm going through my little spiel here, holding the heat tool off to the side so I'm not blasting it at me or my project, and just letting it heat as we go here. So it goes great with wild wheat. Nothing goes great with wild wheat. Well, I shouldn't say that. Wild wheat is just not my favorite color. So, all right, and I'm turning this towards my sentiment that I've just stamped, and hopefully you can see it's starting to get shiny and smooth, and that means that it's done cooking. So I'm going to turn it a little bit here. And then once it is done, you want to be sure to turn off your heat tool so you don't accidentally overcook it and burn it, because it looks really ugly and brown and not shiny like it is right now. So you want it to be pretty and shiny, and then stop. So, all right. You love wild wheat, Ramona? I'm trying to get on board with it. I'm learning to like it a little better, but when I initially saw it, I'm like, ugh. I didn't really love it. It's growing on me, but yeah, I didn't love it. So, all right. I have got, these are the Wonderful Thoughts dies, and I have got the one that fits around this sentiment perfectly. So I'm going to take this again over to my die cutting machine. So I'll be off screen for a second, and we're going to run it through the die cutting machine. So I'll be right back. Hopefully I'll get it cut straight. All right, there we go. It looks like it, I cut it reasonably straight, so we're going to go with it and get that out of the way. Bring back in my card, and I'm going to use some little of my half Stampin' dimensionals. One of the many reasons why I cut them like this, let me make sure I'm putting this on the right side here, is I'm going to take 3 of them and stick them down towards the bottom of my sentiment, because I'm going to kind of slide the bottom or the top of the sentiment over the bottom of the stamped panel that I've got on my card. Again, just picking these off. And again, if you prefer the mini dimensionals and they work for you, then you certainly can use those. All right, I'm going to take this and kind of slide it up from the bottom to make sure that I don't accidentally stick my Stampin' dimensionals onto this panel. I want them stuck to the card front so that it doesn't smoosh it down weird. All right, I think we got them on there. And then I'm going to grab a couple of the Lemon Lolly. These are the adhesive backed solid gems. I'm just going to grab 3 of those and stick them here around the card front. So we're going to put one of the larger ones, kind of tuck one of the medium ones up here, and then take the little one and put it over here in the corner, and I'll smoosh them down. And that's it for the card front. So super, super quick and easy. Again, just a little stamping, a couple little punches, a little bit of layering, and it'll be done. So ordered the set on June something, 20th, 26th, I don't know, I haven't received it yet. Yes, hopefully you'll get it soon. I know shipping is running a couple days behind at Stampin' Up, so hopefully you'll get it speedy fast. All right, inside of the card, pretty simple. It's going to look pretty similar to the truck that we stamped on the outside of the card. We're just going to ink the truck up again in Tuxedo Black Memento ink, and we're just going to stamp it here on a basic white cardstock panel. This is cut to about 4 by 5 1/4, so it should fit nicely inside my card. And I think I just stuck my fingers in black ink because I'm just a mess. All right, again, grabbing the Azure Afternoon ink pad, and we're going to ink up the little truck image again, the fill-in image. And again, I'm just going to line up the fenders and hopefully get it stamped nicely. All right. I think I'll let it dry a second and see how it looks once we get closer to being done with it. I'm going to add a little coloring on it. I've got, again, the Smoky Slate Stampin' Blends for the tire. So I'm going to start, hopefully I've got the light one. Yep. I got the light Smoky Slate Stampin' Blends. Going to color the tire. Going to come back with a little bit of the dark and kind of color up here under the fender so that it looks like there's a little shadow on there. And then blend the two so it's not quite such a harsh line. Then I'm going to grab my light gray granite and color the hubcap. All right, and then my light azure afternoon to color the little center of the hubcap. And then light pool party to color the window, and we're going to be all done with this card. So that's going to be it. So super quick and easy, a fun one. Like I said, the little truck punch is really cute, and it should be restocked next week in the U.S. Depending on where you are, it may still be in stock, but in the U.S., it went out of stock almost immediately. So it should be back next week. So it looks to me like as this is drying, it's kind of smoothing out the ink a little, so I'm not going to mess around with it and stamp it a second time. I think it looks all right for the inside of the card. So we're just going to go with it that way. Going to run a little Stampin' Seal here along the edges of the panel. Again, basic white cut to about 4 by 5 1/4. And all the measurements will be on my blog tomorrow, and I will share the direct link to the blog post. There'll be a PDF tutorial so you can go grab the cardstock cuts and the colors and all that stuff from the tutorial, and then have all the instructions to make it as well. All right, grabbing the bone folder, going to do a little crease here with that. And that's it. So super quick and easy, a fun little card. I love the little flowers, the sunflowers. Ordered Haychuck and Earth and Textures on July 6th, finally shipped out the 13th. So yep, hopefully you'll have yours soon. Like I said, I know shipping's running a little behind, but yay, I'm just glad things are restocking and we can actually order them again. So, all right, so thanks so much for joining today. I appreciate y'all being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. I'll plan to be back around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday with another card project, and then again around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Friday with a card project. So I will chat with you all soon, and again, check back for all the details on my blog tomorrow for this card. Talk to y'all soon.